Welcome to the Content Supply Show. This is a show where we bring together entrepreneurs and experts all across the internet, especially those who are bringing tons of value to the world from behind their computer to front of stage. We break down their creative ideas, strategies, and stories that guided them along the journey of entrepreneurship so that we can all learn and be inspired together. So this interview today was great. I had Tatiana Belim on, where she has a background in IT, project management, business systems, workflows, and I got so much out of talking with her. It was a mixture of a discovery call, like an intro call. We're in the same mastermind group, and I wanted to get to know her more, and I just heard so much about how she brought value to many business owners through her ability to automate certain practices. We all, as entrepreneurs, we all find ourselves doing so many things manually. With technology nowadays, we shouldn't have to do that. There are so many apps and places that we can improve, getting tasks done, having things work in the background. But with someone with that IT knowledge mixed in with what are best practices, basically, and customizing it by the business owner, by the business. That's something that Tatiana does. And so it was kind of like a coaching call for me and my business, me and Content Supply, and I love that. And so I even scheduled a call after the fact with her, and we've talked more, and we're getting better systems in place. And so really what these systems are is it's like a way for different apps to communicate with each other. So for my business right now, I use Asana, which is a project management app. And there are ways that Asana can connect to other business applications, whether it's invoicing software or contract software, whatever it may be, for all to speak with each other. So when one action's taken, another action's taken, another action can then be taken. It's a step-by-step process that happens in the background, and computers doing it for you. So she's someone I highly recommend. I'm excited to see more content come from her in the future to educate the world on how to better get systems in place in your business so you can focus more on providing value to your customers and pushing out more content versus being weighed down by everything that we do so manually. So before we get into the interview, let's chat Content Supply. Content Supply is a creative content as a service business where online brands and entrepreneurs can subscribe to a monthly supply of custom content to grow their business. So content like video, podcast, image, and blogs. This content is custom built to fit into 3 phases of your marketing experience. So 1, free content on social media. 2, paid ads. And 3, content used for paid programs, memberships, or funnels. We're all limited on time and resources to produce all the content we want and need to support our customers' journey from point A to point Z. Content Supply helps supply the filling of that gap. It's like the PB&J between your bread of your product or service and the bread of your funnel or your conversion tool. Go on over to contentsupply.com to learn more. So now let's get into the interview. Tatiana, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here.
Tell me more about you. Tell me more. Let's business brand aside. Tell me more about your story.
Okay, so I came in America in '93. I originally were from Russia, but my mom's family and my father's family is like half Russian, half Ukrainian. So, and my father was in military, and so we were like pretty much all over the place. We were in Georgia, we were in Ukraine, and like last about 10 years or so we were in Russia, and that's where practically I grew up, and before I moved here. But so Okay, so I have about 20 years experience with the IT and the working as a consultant for the corporations, and that was kind of getting tired from that. And I decided that I wanted to work more with the small businesses because of the energy of the small businesses. And there's so many different opportunities. You get to meet all different people, and you also like get a little bit more challenged, I would say, because of each case is unique. So that's and I'm also the tool geek. I love learning about all different tools, and this way it's like I can also do the research not just for myself but also help people out.
Yeah, so I like that a lot. When you talk about focusing more on small businesses, in what ways were you looking to focus on them? Was it IT related services? Was it through other services or products?
I started out just helping out friends and with basically building the systems, figuring out the processes, and it's people would just come to me and say, "So you should definitely do that as a business." And so that my first kind of experience with the small businesses was the helping them out with the processes and finding the tools and get them more or less running as the company, sort of say, like as what I've seen through my years at the working with the larger companies. And I also like have the passion for the tools. So then I would also introduce them to the different tools that would make their job a lot easier. And I know it's like some of them are like can be really overwhelming, and especially if somebody is not very tech savvy. But once they figure out how to use them, it just makes so much sense to move to the off the paper-based systems and things like that.
Yeah, and so we spoke about before we hit record, we spoke about automations, workflows, those that remove us humans out of the process, save us time. I know you offer those services and that strategy to businesses.
Yes.
Tell me more about the specifics of how you approach that when a business is like, I am doing too many things manually. And so yeah, what's your process? And also, what are some of the tools you use?
So we start basically like from looking at your day-to-day, and depends what kind of services you have. Is well, I'll just walk you would walk me through your day, what you do from the like for your clients from start to the end. And based on that, I also like see where things can be automated and or the streamlined. So one of my favorite tools, I use the Zapier. I use the for the automations, and I use a little bit of the Google script and a little bit of the Apple scripts. So those things. But most of the things I like is the my favorite is the Zapier. It's makes so much easier. The latest addition I have is the Trello Butler board that helps automate anything on the Trello board. So if the process the way the process works, if that can be put on the board, sort of say, then we can use that process to automate. Then there's another tool that I use a lot, and it's the Autocrat. and that helps you like take the data out of your spreadsheets and put them onto the reports or the for example, the contracts or some other things that you may not be necessarily able to do with um, the client, the CRM type of software like 17 Hats or Depseta. And also one more that it's just skipping my mind.
Do you ever use Zoho?
Zoho. I'm not a big fan of Zoho, but I know they do have some automations that are built into the process, but for some reason, I just never got along with that.
Yeah.
Do you use that?
Well, I've been attracted to it. I haven't used it quite yet, but one thing it offers is kind of an all-in-one in so many different avenues. I mean, they even do social publishing, like they've got invoicing and financials, they've got CRMs, CMS. So I think, and that's kind of leads me to the next thought. My next question is, in looking for ways to automate content supply, there are so many tools and resources out there that as soon as I start looking into one and be like, oh, maybe I'll do this one, there's another one that pops up. And I'm like, it's kind of like, what is it, the squirrel syndrome or the distraction?
Yeah, the shiny object.
Shiny object syndrome, where I get distracted, be like, well, this one looks even better. And then so like deciding, obviously there's a whole kind of side of you got to pick and customize as needed, but how have you chosen for yourself, and how do you customize those for your clients?
Well, the thing is, like, you have to, like, I guess it's all comes to the personality, what you like better, or what kind of the way that you like to work. It's either you're like a list oriented person, or you have a visual, like you like the whiteboards and you like the post-it cards everywhere. So it depends. It depends on the style that you work. So I would usually see how people work, and then I try to adapt the tools for the in that aspect. And also, it's like if it's a lot of videos, a lot of phone calls, or is it a lot of different communication. So it very much depends on the service that people have. So for the content management here, it's like also you have to consider the between the automation and the algorithm. So you want to be, if you're doing like social media, you also have to look at the fact that if you're doing the automations, then it's probably some of that going to be ignored by the algorithms.
To the platform, right? Like Facebook likes it when you post.
Yeah, so maybe, then maybe you'll prepare all the content, get it all ready, and then just have the reminders or like things like accessible, figure out the way to have it all accessible for you just to post it, or to have somebody else post on your behalf, instead of having it all completely automated. So that's another example of where it's like getting that human touch involved at the right moment.
Yeah, completely. Well, I'd be curious, and we won't get too deep into it, but you mentioned how when you approach businesses to build their strategy and help with their automation, and look at their day-to-day, would it be possible? I think we should sample out a day-to-day with what I experience and kind of a life example, and then what your recommendations would be. So with content supply, it's an agency model. And so first and foremost, a service-based business. And so we provide content creation and strategy services to help brands leverage content to sell more products for themselves. So the day-to-day is a lot of client and lead generation,
Mm-hmm.
So it's intaking, those new client requests, managing those contacts, and figuring a way to contact them on a timely basis, get them right for information, scheduling calls, and um, I'm sure many businesses can relate. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you're either doing it as a solo entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have a lot of team members in place to help with those administrative type functions.
That's. Mm-hmm.
With that kind of day-to-day, the kind of general day-to-day, how would you approach recommending automations for me?
So first of all is like good CRM is essential for the process. So you don't what's who did you talk to, when did you last talk to them, when do you need to follow up, so you'll have the reminders. And if it's like a long sale process where you need to talk to people several times before they commit to the certain job, yes, the CRM is essential. Then definitely scheduling tools. And I think it's widely used already, but also like to make sure that your scheduling tools are also like integrated, so like into your properly into your calendar and into your CRM. And with the video, if you're using video, so it's like those couple seconds here and there, they all add up. If or if you forget to then send the video link, then somebody has to, or you have to send it manually, or people don't know where to look for it. So having the good workflow is important there, so that your client knows where the how the meeting gonna go, where the links are, and that's also is accessible on their own calendar, so they don't overschedule and then they need to reschedule with you. But also like you can the great thing is like what I like to use is the send later email. So when for example, I talk to the client and I know it's like, okay, they're not sure, or they need another nudge before they're ready to commit. So I'll just write up an email right now, and I'll have it scheduled to go out like 2 days later.
As a way to follow up, or kind of archive, or not archive, but save their information to make sure there is follow-up?
It's actually, I just like while it's the conversation is fresh in your head, you just write out the email or use one of your templates that you saved already for this kind of conversations. You open up the template, you modify it, and you just schedule it to be sent out in 2 days, and then you can forget about it.
That's really nice. I want to learn a little bit more about how you structure your brand. So in what way do you identify yourself as a brand owner, and how do you market your services? Like what's your kind of client intake process?
Okay, so that's all kind of really new for me, because being the IT consultant and working with the corporation, you just have like a consulting company, and it was so different. So like starting it this year, working with the small businesses, I have really like a brand identity crisis between being me, myself as a brand, and having a company. And like I also have like when I'm trying to kind of scale as to the agency level. I have some pieces that I have bring on help to help me out with, but I'm not at that level completely yet. So I really like kind of in the mix here. So I'm figuring out the way around, like being between the branding like as myself as an expert in processes and automations, and also like promoting my services as a company. So
It's
so still it's a that's a learning curve for me. the whole marketing thing and digital marketing especially.
And so what are your plans then as I mean, because you said like end of this year going into 2018, what is your big, like, what is, I mean, maybe you have different thoughts with it, but what's kind of your vision? Like, what do you want to be positioned as like a service provider, where you provide strategy services and those like high ticket prices, or do you want to create a product around your brand?
Okay, so what I would like to do is services, because I don't really see the product here to be created, and I like the puzzle aspect of the work, because I like to work with the service providers, figure out their business, find the actual best way to do it for their specific business. So there's a really that I love that aspect a lot, and that's what drove me to the into the working more with the small businesses. So I don't really see the product in this one, but I also for the 2019, it started out as planning out for myself, and it's like I'm a natural planner and I love planning, so that's also part of the automations that I do. I plan everything out and then I automate, and planning too much doesn't help get things done. So I came across on one of the tech startups companies, when I'm reading about the tech startups, I'm trying to remember what company it was, but I can't. I came across the concept called the Idea Week, and that's where the whole month worth of work is compressed into exactly 4 weeks. So you would lose about 2 or 3 days each month, and you tag them at the end of the 3 months period, and you use that entire week to do all your planning and all your working on your ideas and figuring out what you want to do for the next 84 days. And following 84 days, you're not allowed to do any more planning, and you just get on and get your stuff done. So that's kind of my thing for the, I'm planning to do that in the last week of December. So I'm gonna figure out get all my ideas together and plan it all out and start doing things. And that's kind of, I'm thinking to turn that into the a product. So I want to be able to do the workshops with people planning with me and then supporting each other during the 12 weeks that follows. And I have a couple of friends that interested to come on board and just try it out and do it with me the last week of December, and then hold each other accountable for the next 12 weeks. And let's see where that gonna get. And maybe my kind of big goal for the end of 2018, beginning of 2019 is to have the actual Idea Week retreat.
Have a retreat.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
yeah.
really cool. Well,
yeah.
and it's interesting too, because I mean, we're entrepreneurs here. Like, I love to come up with ideas, and you were talking, I was like, man, I had an idea. It may not be, it's a fresh idea, but with you offering strategy and tech related services, workflow automation related services, I would find it interesting as someone in your demographic, because I totally am, with seeing your strategy and basically your services in action in examples, right? I mean, we broke down a very simply kind of a case study with with what my life is like, but maybe like catering to agencies or service providers or other kind of small businesses, and do like a mock case study example where you break down their business, their day-to-day, a lot of common practices that are very manual. And then you can break down and be like, hey, here are all the manual things that are taking this amount of time, your time away. And then by implementing the Tatiana system of workflow, this is all the time you can save to do more priority things. And here are all the automations that can happen. I would find like watching, whether that's like a screen share, some kind of tutorial, or some kind of video presentation of sorts, I find that content would be incredibly valuable, as I would fit in that market. And I would we can discuss it, but by
yeah, I would love that. That's a really great idea. I was just thinking about that the other day. It's like that would be great if just to go through all the steps, the way I would work with people is just gather all the information, break it down in steps, map it all out, create the workflows, and then automate things and see what's going to turn out.
Well, and I think teasing people to be like, here are like the first steps to what I'm automating. This steps you have to schedule or pay me more, pay me something. There's a certain element of free, but what I'm getting excited about now is like I've had all these like internal like discussions with myself and external too of, here are all the manual processes I have in my business. How can I automate these? And being shown how it's possible and what areas I may not consider, or all the being like walk through all the tools. I think there's a tremendous amount of value that you are providing and will continue to provide in that world, because you're totally solving a problem that is in so many of our hands in our businesses. So I'm excited. This is great. Like, we need to have a whole nother discussion beyond this.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's definitely do it.
Yeah. Where can people learn more about you? Like, where is that link? Where is that ability for people to sign up to work with you?
Okay, I have the website, and it's Humindy. It's a kind of combination of, I was playing with words, so I combined human and mind and kind of tacked the Y at the end. So it's HUMINDY.com.
Awesome, great. I love to, in this discussion, that you sold me on, you didn't take much, but you sold me on services I already knew I needed. And I think every business needs to consider it, because our time is very spread thin and it's a precious resource.
Yes. Yeah, that's a free resource, but an available resource, but it's definitely a priceless one.
Completely. Well, let's chat soon, Tatiana. I super appreciate you providing the precious time.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great chatting with you.
So that about wraps it up for the show today. Thank you so much for listening. The fact that you're able to drop into this conversation, hopefully be inspired through the stories and ideas shared here, is pretty awesome. So I'm a huge fan of relationships and getting to know more people. So if you have thoughts about the show, want to leave a review even, have questions about Content Supply, or just want to connect anyway, you can find me across the socials at Dallin Need. And of course, go on over to contentsupply.com and check it out. Thanks again. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to share more here at Content Supply. See ya.